Hello designers, you're welcome to another tutorial. In this tutorial we're going to be making this beautiful skirt. It's a pleated skirt, but some people also call it a plisse skirt because the fabric is a plisse fabric, while some also call it accordion skirt because the pleats on the fabric are called accordion pleats. So depending on how you want to call it. I'll be using this material, which is 1.5 yards, and the length is by 60. So this material, we have it in different types. Some are in metallic fabric, some are in chiffon fabric, some satin kind of fabric, different kind of fabric with this pleats. Some pleats are big, some pleats are tiny. We have different kind of pleats also for this material. So it's not only this type that we have, but the way we sew this, we can sew the other ones too, like that. Now I'm going to fold my fabric into 2 and then fold it again, which makes it into 4. I'm going to adjust it, or you can go ahead and pin it down. Then the skirt length I need is 40 inches plus all the seam allowance needed. That makes it 42 inches. So I'll be cutting 42 inches on this fabric. For this skirt, there is no waist, there's no hip measurements. No, you only need your length and how wide you want your skirt depends on you. You can even use 2 yards for this. If you want it fuller, you can use even 1 yard, but I'll be using 1.5 yard for this. After cutting it out, I'm going to fold the fabric into 2. I'll open it and fold it into 2 and sew that part that is opened. So I only have 1 seam. I don't have 2 seam, the sides, that's what I mean. I only have 1 joining because the other side is unfold. So after sewing that joining, I'll fold the upper parts to make my casing. I'll be using elastic. You can also use band for this. Then the hem also, I'll tidy it 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch, but this one, the selvage is there, so I can even fold once. I've gone ahead to do my joining. Now I'm going to do the casing for the top, where the elastic will pass through. I'm going to fold 1/2 inch by 1 inch or 1/2 inch by 0.75 inch. I'm going to be using the 1/2 inch elastic, the small elastic, which is this one. But if you're using the 1 inch elastic, the bigger one of this, then you fold 1/2 inch by 1.25 or 1.5 inches so that the elastic can pass through. If you fold 1/2 inch by 1 inch, the elastic might be tight because the elastic too is 1 inch. The space might not be enough. So I always add about 1/4 inch to it. So you fold 1/2 inch by 1.5 or 1/4 inch for the 1 inch elastic to pass through. Though I'll be using this 1/2 inch one, which is the smaller one, so I'm going to be folding 1/2 inch by 0.75 inch. When I start sewing, I'm going to leave a small space, a small opening for my elastic to pass through. So when I sew from one side, I sew it round and when I want to end it, I'll leave about 1 inch to pass my elastic. If you're using the 1 inch elastic, you leave about 1.5 as your opening to pass your elastic, the small space. But I'm using a small elastic, so 1 inch is enough to pass my elastic into the casing. So this is the opening I was talking about. After edge stitching what I folded, so that is where I'll pass my elastic. It's small because I'm using a small elastic. So that is the space I left. To cut my elastic, I'm going to measure my waist. Let's say my waist is 32. I'm going to minus 6 or 8 inches from that 32 and use that to cut my elastic. So my elastic should be smaller than my waist so that I can expand when I wear it. Then what I do is I always double my elastic, especially this small elastic. I notice that it wears out very quickly. Even if you're using one elastic, you use a safety pin to pass it through the casing that you have made. Then you watch out for your seam allowance. You make sure you're going in the direction your seam allowance is folded. You don't want to go in an opposite direction because your seam allowance will stop the pin from passing. So the end of the elastic, I'm going to pin it down this way so that when I go inside, it won't run inside. So I use my pin to hold down the end of the elastic, and then I'll continue passing the elastic inside. So as I pass the pin, I'll be pulling the fabric to the back so that the elastic can be going inside as I'm going. Just this way I'm doing it. That's the way you do it. If you're not going to be using elastic, you can prepare a band for this. I already have a video on how to make skirt band, so you can check it out. When I'm done, I'm going to come out through the small opening I made. Then I'll pull the skirt so that the elastic can go in well and the gathers can be even. You don't want it folded and bulky on one part, so I'll remove the pin also at the edge. Then I'll remove the safety pin too, and then I'll use my machine to stitch it down. Please use your machine to stitch it down. If you want to use your hand, it might run out. The elastic might separate. So if you use a machine, it's going to hold it well for you. So I'll just run some stitches on it to hold it down, just 1/2 inch. So I'll pull the skirts and make sure the elastic goes inside. So this is what the waist looks like, and this is the opening. So you can go ahead and use your machine to stitch back the opening, or you can leave it this way. That is why I left a very small opening. Sometimes I don't stitch it back. If it's for me personally, I don't stitch it back so that when I want to adjust my elastic, it will be easy for me. But for a client, of course, I'll stitch it back. Then the M, you can fold it twice to tidy it. If your selvage is there already, you can just fold it once. This is the skirt on my dress form. The remaining part of the fabric, I used it to make a mini skirt also. Remember, your pleat can be different from this, but it's the same method.
I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please kindly like, share, comment, subscribe if you're new here, and click the notification bell. Thank you.